interested to hear what you would suggest for this, and it does tie in with the whole holistic strategy. But we are becoming a lot more eco-friendly in the horse community.
We want to keep the bees.
We want to keep bees.
Bees
we want to
don't
keep
spread disease.
grasshoppers.
Sorry, that's one thing.
Yeah. You know, we want to keep all the nice things. So how, like insecticides are a very loaded debate with us, you know, because we also want to be kid and dog friendly in case someone goes and licks a wall.
So I think you want like a targeted approach.
Yes, no, for sure. So I think when we do trainings on farms, especially the chickens and the pig farms, we harp on application. Application is key. I mean, we've had a client where they've had litter beetle on the farm, on a chicken farm, and they were spending thousands of rands trying to get this under control. And they phoned us. We went there and opened the cupboard, and I phoned my boss. I said, "Listen, we're in trouble." And he said, "Like, why?" "Because all the actives that we've got is in that cupboard." So, and it's not working for them. And so then we said, "Listen, show me how do you apply the product."
Okay.
And there were certain irregularities regarding that. And as soon as we've corrected them on the correct methods, all of a sudden it started working. So I think the big thing that we need to understand, and the listeners need to understand, is that insecticides, there's no safe insecticide, unfortunately. But I can't see that we can move away from that completely. The amount we use and so on, we can actually govern by management type of things, like manure management, getting it off the yard. Those type of things will actually reduce the amount of insecticides that you use. But as Ross said, that the targeted approach where you use it, so you're not going to be willy-nilly put it in a firefighter and spray your whole garden with it, type of thing. So you need to identify where's your problems, where do the flies congregate, and you focus on those areas with the applications of insecticides.
But like, I think there's so many different insects that we need to have a look at also. I mean, there's the flies, and like, you know, things that will work for flies are not going to work for midges, and the same thing is not necessarily going to work for mosquitoes. So with regards to diseases, every single insect is transmitting a different type of disease that you want to avoid. And like with regards to flies, you have Rhodema. With regards to your midges, it's just your AHS and your EEV. And with regards to your mosquitoes, your West Nile virus and your other orboviruses, those weird neurological ones. So I think, you know, in top of having a holistic approach just for your flies, you need to integrate all your other, you know, aspects in there as well. So, you know, it becomes quite difficult, I think, and I have a lot of sympathy for yard owners to try and get this under wraps, because, you know, with that exponential growth as we spoke about, and, you know, bringing up that 80% that's in the earth, you know, people only really start stressing about the flies when they're visually there. You know, when you walk into that yard and especially white walls, and you see them all over the wall, and you walk in there and they rise up, and then
think you're under a beehive.
And then these poor people, you know, they say, "What can we do?" They ask me, and I say, "Well, you know, this is what other people have done." But you know, at that point, it's almost too late. You need to start getting control of it now, and start sorting it out before that population grows and you have that 80%.
I think to be proactive is actually quite key, because as soon as you've got the problem, it takes a lot of money to sort out the problem. And I think, but luckily, regarding flies, midges, and mosquitoes, there are some products that actually insecticides that take out all of those at once. And it's a nice it's products that you spray on the wall, and it's got a residual. Okay. And so it's a targeted approach. You know where you're putting it.
So what's the active in those? Is it like, because I always say Betacor, you know, we always used to, you know, spray Betacor on the horses, which is your pyrethroid, right?
Yes.
Interestingly, Betacor pyrethroids are toxic to horses. Yeah. But I mean,
We're like, I don't care. Someone's going to die. It's us or the
but
flies.
it works.
We don't,
It works
you
well
know.
because you're only spraying it on certain areas. You're not using too much. A horse is a large animal, and like you said, like it's about the dose. So I mean, you can use a small amount, and it's not going to cause any toxic effects. But I mean, cats are also susceptible. So you don't want to go and spray your cat with with basical.
Yeah, so I mean, a active that works very well, specifically on walls and so on, because I know a lot of the yards, the walls are not plastered; they're sometimes brick.
Yeah,
Okay.
those breeze blocks. Or,
Yeah. So and I mean that's something that you also need to keep in mind, is if you've got a coarse surface and you spray a SE that's a super concentrate or emulsifiable concentrate, that is a liquid as origin, sometimes 50% of the active pulls into the wall because it's coarse.
Okay.
So you would actually want to use something that's like a wettable powder that sits on the outside
That's
of the wall,
interesting, Neil.
so that more of the active is available to kill the vector. So a very nice active to use is a deltamethrin, because they call it a highly excitable pyrethroid. So if you take, let's say, diluted deltamethrin and a cypermethrin, and you actually put a drop on your arm of each, the deltamethrin will start burning quicker than the cypermethrin, because you've got that highly excitable pyrethroid.
Okay.
Because like Baticals also have a pyrethroid. So yes, there's so much to talk about.
I'm just fascinated listening to
But
this
what
because
stops them? Everyone says, okay, what's this? You put it on the wall, and they said no, but they don't want the horses licking the wall. So I'm like, well, then don't put it on the walls next to your stable, or I suppose, I mean, a horse licking wall is not going to
put it above the. I would imagine also above the.
So that type of product is actually used within pig farms.
Okay.
And I mean that little piggies, they
lick everything.
They lick everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's actually quite safe.
So as soon as the product is dry, it's actually very,
It's
very
about
safe.
having, like you say, what's, and I don't think, in my years being in and out of stable yards, that I've ever heard someone, because a lot of yards also have a brick stable and a wood stable, and they're treating them the same, which is a really interesting consideration, that they've effectively halved the value in the one stable block.
Yeah. So I think another thing is that we need to keep in mind as well that certain products fall in certain groups of actives. So that's why I said there's so much to talk about, because you need to shuttle your products as well, because you can't use the same thing for the next 5 to 10 years.
Resistance,
because you get resistance and all those type of things.
And I'm sure people land with a product they really like, and then they commit to it for 3 years. And
I mean, there was a animal health company that had a product that was a bait, and it was a organophosphate bait. So then obviously in Europe they banned organophosphates, and they brought out a new product, and
a carbamate, just worse.
No, it's actually neonicotinoid. So and it hit the South African market, and farmers were in uproar. They would say, this is the biggest load of nonsense that you could have brought out. But if you ask the farmers now, it's probably one of the best products on the market. But it's just because they didn't understand the mode of action. They didn't understand in which group that certain product fell. So
it's good to hear there's change resistance in all elements of the world, even with pig farmers. It's not just like that. The anti-vaxxers or people in corporates who hate change. It's everyone.